Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another amazing episode of the Jody Watkins Show. Today, my spectacular guest is the one, the only, Eileen Head. And I want you guys, if you're watching this on video, I want you to guess how old she is because I already know you're going to mess it up. But I'm not telling. I'm not telling. But I just want you to know how much I appreciate you coming on today. Definitely appreciate the conversation we've recently had. And now it's time to let everyone else know, who are you? What made you what you are today? And let's have a conversation. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what kind of got you into where you are now.
Yeah, we all have our journey, right? And I grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan, and I had three older brothers. And even from a young age, I was watching my parents and how they didn't do relationships, and how there was a lot of passive aggressive days of silence, the
Mm,
interaction of us kids together. My older brother challenged my dad. My second brother, he was the optimister, and he could walk in, we'd come back from school and you could just feel the tension, and he'd crack a joke and we'd watch everything just melt off everyone's face. So that's how he developed his personality. And then my brother that's next to me is a perfecter, and I am a two supporter personality. And so the dynamics that we grow up with really, really do form us and take us forward.
hmm.
I'd like to give you a bit of background. So then I'm going to go into the Enneagram in a minute, but I wanted to
Yeah,
open with that so you understand that personalities play a huge role in helping us understand, who am I? How
right.
do I how do I feel? How do I react? How do I feel emotionally loved? And so I married my father, basically. Thought he
Interesting.
was the love of my life, and we were married forever. And we were married for 35 years. And in that relationship, I was confused. I didn't understand why we were great people, and we just weren't able to connect. He was like being behind a shower door that's fogged up. I could sort of see him, but I couldn't connect with him or get to him the
Mm,
way I needed. And the more I needed it, the more he pushed me away for self-preservation. And
mm.
I didn't really understand any of that. And so after 35 years, I started getting some spiritual things happening to me, some taps on the shoulder, and that took me into the spiritual realm. And I started getting some medical reports back that were saying, you stay here, you're creating dis-ease in your body, which is going to develop.
Ooh,
And so I felt out of integrity by staying in a marriage that I no longer loved the man. There was a lot of stress. I mean, he was stressed too. He knew I was unhappy, and he had
right.
no idea how to make me happy, nor did I.
That's the part. That's the part. I'm gonna stop you for a second because I'm actually going through that right now. And that's the part when we don't know how we make ourselves happy, how we're supposed to be happy. It's impossible. And this is what I tell people all the time. It's impossible for us to help anyone else learn how to make us happy if we don't even know. So we have to get to the root of what we need, right? That's so
Absolutely.
powerful.
And so as I left that marriage, I found the Enneagram personalities, and it was like the whole world opened up for me. And as I read my profile, it was hit after hit, aha moments like, oh my gosh, this is what people value in me. And this is why I
Mm.
have a need to help people, and why some people go, yeah, no, you're intrusive and I don't need your help. What? Who doesn't need my help, right? That
Oh
was
my
the
gosh.
and
We could talk for hours on these things.
okay, we can. Well, come back.
Yes.
And and so as I read that and came to a deep, very quick understanding, like the Enneagram takes you very deep and very quickly and helps you to understand. And then when I read his profile and I put our two profiles together, it was like, oh, I get it. Like I could just see the dance we did for 35 years, the messages that I gave myself. And, this is where the I'm not good enough, um, I'll never, all those limiting belief messages that we struggle with. And the Enneagram will just help you heal that, you through that. I'm very passionate, and it is the basis of my coaching.
Mm, I love that. That is very eye-opening, just in some of the things that you said, because I always talk about how important self-awareness is. And, but having these types of, and there's so many out there, right? So I guess my question would be, because I know I was in the military, and the military tends to use the DISC assessment. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of that one. Okay.
Yep.
So, there's so many of them though. So what made you kind of gravitate more towards the Enneagram over the other ones?
Even instructors of the disc tell me that the disc does not really, what's the word? Uh, they don't have the relationship part of it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have,
Yes.
they teach you how you solve problems and all that. It's more of a business model.
Right.
So the Enneagram has been around since the 1700s. It is a well-respected model. And as I mentioned to you, I was trained by Dr. David Daniels, who was the director of psychiatry at Stanford University. And the Enneagram will help you to understand the limiting belief that you formed as a child. From that limiting belief, you form patterns to get the most love and attention in your family of origin. That creates roles, that creates a personality, and we believe that's who I am. And it is
Yes.
not. It is who we have taught ourselves to be through
Mm,
patterns. And generally from the unhealed, confused part of ourselves. And so when we go to our path of development, which the Enneagram does, it shows us exactly how we can go up the 9 levels from unhealthy behavior to healthy behavior to create a life that is, for me, I am so grounded. I can be thrown in the ditch for a short period of time, but I know exactly from my personality what triggered me, why
mm,
it's not the other person's issue.
yes.
And I can heal that. I can look at the life lessons in that. And for enriching our lives and our partnerships and healing from past relationships, it's such a healing model.
Mm, I love that. Wow. So you talked about growing up on a farm, and then you had other brothers and sisters. I grew up as the only child, so I'm always very interested to hear about the different personalities and families.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that, because you said each one of your siblings and you had a different personality, but you grew up in the same family. So talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
That's the best scientific experiment.
Yes.
How, how did we actually have the same parents and yet have a different perspective? I mean, you can go, as we get older in life, we can meet back with our siblings and we can say, do you remember back when this happened? And there will be different perspectives of the very same incident.
Yes. Oh
And
my
that's the same
goodness.
as in couple relationships, right? My dad was a 9-piece seeker, and so he was silent. He didn't like conflict, and he created conflict by not wanting to deal with conflict. And my
I
mom
probably
was a
could relate to him a little bit when I was younger.
two, and my mom was a two supporter like I was. I mean, two supporters need close relationships. We
Yes.
want to nurture. And so, as I look back on I liken it to there's a central universe, and then we're all other little universes rotating around this, bouncing off each other at different times and looking for different things from different people until we
Yes.
understand ourselves. For me, life has become fascinating as I watch myself interact because not everyone wants a close, touchy-feely, connected
Oh
relationship.
my gosh, yes.
Shocking to me. Like,
I know.
why wouldn't you
I
want
know. When
that?
people say they don't want to hug, I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Like,
Oh, and the 8 challengers is, yeah, I don't do hugs. Like they are just like, Don't touch me. I don't want you touching me. Don't come close with that
But
emotional.
now I've come to now just say, okay, we're not alike, but that's okay. I'm gonna love you where you are. But the ones that are like, yeah, I love hugs, I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get along great. I
And
love huggers.
that's a great point because each of the nine personalities have different energies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's that's what's confusing as we are on the journey to discover who am I. Because you will meet certain people that we've known each other, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And yet we've connected very deeply, right? We can
Yes.
relate to each other. And yet there's other people who, do this and but I'm doing the same thing with everyone.
Right.
Why are people reacting to me differently? And so
Mm.
it opens up a whole world of when you see their perspective, when you see how they do life, and you can take those bits for yourself and help yourself to grow. My optimister brother has brought so much into our family and life just by being the fun, upbeat, positive person that he is. I've integrated some of that into me,
I
and my
love that.
challenger brother and my perfecter brother. And so it's a way of expanding life and making it so much juicier.
Mm.
If you can figure out what makes people tick, what do you think that does for your life?
Mm. It's yes, that's an interesting journey. It's taken me a really long time to get to that point because I really wasn't, to be quite honest, I wasn't paying attention enough. Because I think sometimes, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, and it's why, I implement it sometimes when I'm coaching people because one of the things I had to learn is I was so kind of internally reserved because of my upbringing was pretty toxic and there was just a lot of chaos around me and I was actually the one who went to school to get away from home, but then when school was toxic, what do, right? So, I've talked to a lot of people about that and it's very interesting how we will bring that into our upbringing, but it can really keep us from being open to the outside world. And what I really had to do was just start listening to people who kind of seemed like they had figured this out a little bit and, just being open to receiving information, even if I didn't understand it. And so that's what I think the biggest thing. And even with this podcast, I hope and pray that people will receive the information, receive what we talk about, even if they don't quite understand it yet, because I've been there, you've been there, right? We all understand that journey. And we just have to also understand that it is a journey and
Yeah.
it's constant. I tell people once you sign up for this, don't get off.
Mhm.
Don't get off the train. Keep going.
See, the unfortunate thing is a lot of people stay stuck in their victim part.
Yes.
And we all feel uh, a victim when we are in that confused cycle of not being able to figure it out. And we're beating up on ourselves and we're
Mm.
reacting to different people, etc. So when people, you know what? I had my victim story when I got together with women, and it was my husband's fault. And I was so unhappy. And this one gal who was a 8 challenger, very direct, said, look it, I've heard your story a number of times. Either get out or stay in and be happy. Make a choice. No,
Mm-hmm.
whoa.
But we
Impact.
need those people, right?
Yes.
It is
Yes.
very because I talk about tough love a lot. And sometimes we need to be either we need to be the one who's giving it to the right people, or we need to also be able to receive it from the right people.
Yeah.
And if you know someone is, even with her, you probably had a good relationship with her, right? So when she came to you with that, it's a little I think it's a little bit more I don't want to say easier necessarily. I don't think that's the right word.
Impactful.
Yeah, there you go. Yes, perfect. Impactful because they're coming from a good place. And she's absolutely right. That's something I had to come to terms with where it was like, okay, either I'm going to stay and I'm going to be miserable in my own mind, or I'm
Yeah.
going to go where I can heal and I can learn who I need to be for myself, for my kid, for the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
So that's huge and kudos to her for having the ability to come up to you and be like, "Hey, look." Because sometimes we
See,
need
I
that
didn't
slap in
know
the
what
face.
I didn't like, she wasn't a close friend or anything.
Okay.
She was an acquaintance, but that is the beauty of the challenger personality. They're direct. They give it to
Mm,
you like they see it.
yes.
And sometimes when we give messages to other people, we need to let go of the outcome, first of all, because they
Mm,
may be a seed we're planting and they may not pick it up for a long, long time.
exactly.
But it
Yes.
may, like, it took me a while, but that was ruminating in like giving me a kick in the butt, like, get out of your victim story. That's a chapter. You want to make it a lifetime? You want to make it a full book there?
Ooh.
Or do you want to make it a chapter and move forward? And I have created a life. I have learned to manifest. I
Mm.
have learned the law of attraction. I have learned on 4 years going down to Mexico for 6 months, coming up October 30th. Whoop, whoop.
Oh my goodness.
I have stories of how that came about.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I mean it's just so interesting. And I've definitely been in the victim place for a long time. I mean,
Mm,
I lived there for a very long time. And I also, looking back now in the military, I was in a male dominated career field. So I
mhm.
came with kind of a chip on my shoulder, not even meaning to, but it was like I couldn't show weakness. I couldn't show, I had to show up a certain way. You know, if anybody talks down on me, I have to stand up for myself, right? But we can't create real lasting relationships when we're showing up that way. But because this is why I think this is so huge as coaches, why we need to live that though, because now it's easier to see it in other people. Am I
Yes.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So when you
Absolutely.
see it, and I love what you said about planting seeds. I say that all the time because that's actually something else I had to work on where when we're helpers, we just want to
Mhm.
help everybody. And
Yeah.
it actually caused severe depression in me for a long time, a few years back, where if I couldn't help people to a certain extent, because the outcome, like you said, we're focused on the outcome, right?
Yep.
If we can't help them to a certain extent, I was actually carrying that burden. And what I had to learn how to do was not carry that burden and understand that everybody's on a journey.
Yeah.
And, there's things that people had said to me in my lifetime that I didn't really listen to right then. Right. And so
Mhm.
I had to just kind of think about that. And I love what you said about planting seeds because that's what we have to focus on. As long
Yeah.
as as long as we're out in the world, even on this podcast today, right? Like as long as we're planting these seeds and we're doing our part, we have to be fulfilled in knowing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Here's what I learned about my two supporter helper personality. The limiting belief was you have to give to get. You must put other people's needs before your own.
Mm,
So how do you understand then how a personality feels their value in always helping, helping, helping? What was shocking to me was that it showed me that I was enabling people
I
and
just
I
had that
was
conversation this week. Oh my gosh.
and I was attracting victim people
Ooh.
because I was overly responsible for the outcome of their lives. I needed the hit. I
Mm.
needed the hit. So I read a statement once that just rocked me to my toes, and it said, "You give so much, it gives me no other opportunity but to take." And I don't like feeling like a taker
Hold on,
all
hold on.
the time.
I don't want to gloss over that. Can you repeat that?
For all you helpers out there, you give so much, the other person, so this is the other person talking to the helper. You
Hmm.
give so much, it gives me no other opportunity but to take. And I don't like feeling like I'm a taker all the time.
I needed you to repeat that because I have literally had, I think, 4 times already this week the same conversation. And I always say I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that hit when you said that
I know it hit
because
me
I
too.
literally just told someone the other day, I said, "Have you ever thought about that you're enabling the people around you by doing everything for them?"
Yeah. And see, we don't give other people the opportunity to learn their life lessons. Life lessons come to us. And you said this is a repetitive conversation. This is a life lesson for you. And
Yes.
life lessons come little bit bigger, 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 then bam, they hit us, right? And so that's the spiritual perspective that I bring in. And the Enneagram has a spiritual component as well, because it teaches us how to become our most conscious, best version of ourselves.
Mm,
That's why I love it so much. Like in my coaching with couples, they come to me and they say, "Oh, we've been to therapists. You're our last hope." And very quickly, when we put together the personalities, it's not so personal, or you don't need to personalize. You can look at the patterns of the personality and understand why they're reacting this way or not reacting to us,
mm,
and how we can bring these together to support and love and create happiness within ourselves.
wow. So everybody's gonna go take the Enneagram now, and you can go to eileenhead.com because I saw it on there.
Yeah,
Shameless
yeah.
plug. Wow, that's huge, because we do need to understand. I mean, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about some of my close relationships, close friends, the other relationships, even my daughter, right? And I'm like, wow, this might be a great tool to implement there too, and so I definitely believe that this is not coincidence that we're talking about this today,
It
because
never
this
is.
is right. This is the timing. Oh my gosh.
There,
So
there are no accidents. Everything happens for a reason.
I
And
am
on
learning that more and more.
course.
Yes. And that even with these podcasts, I was telling somebody, I said, "So I don't ever know who's going to come on for the most part. Sometimes I'll know the person, but I get people and I'm just led to the right people like you were talking about earlier. Like, I don't know who's going to come on, but they're all just great people. And we
They,
end up getting along great and we have an amazing conversation,
yeah.
and like, so like you said, it's that energy, right? Where if we carry ourselves a certain way, and I actually had someone plant this seed in me a long time ago where he said, you're the energy, if you put out a certain energy, you're going to get that back, right? So if
Oh,
you're putting
law of
out
attraction.
negative,
We're
that's it.
magnets.
Yes,
You,
yes,
I'm in a shitty mood. Like, boom, what happened?
yes. What are
Right?
you going to get
More,
back?
more, I want, and because we get a hit off that, it resonates with us. That's
Mm,
why people stay in the victim's stage so long. There is a payback. There, being a victim is a very powerful place to be. You may
mm,
think you're powerless, but you're drawing people to you in the wrong way,
yes.
right?
What
Instead of,
happens? Oh, I have to ask this question because you just made me think of another situation that I know about. What happens when someone stays in that victim mentality for so long with someone who's not in a victim mentality? What happens there?
the victim is sucking energy from the other person.
Mm,
And I don't mean to, I don't sugarcoat things, right?
yeah,
You cannot, in a science experiment, if you have two jars of water and one is full and one is almost empty, what is the scientific? It, it draws it down.
yeah,
And so the question is, why are you there? Sometimes, like I needed to leave my husband for him as well. We were I meant the stress for him was so much as well, right?
yes.
I want to just before I forget, my thoughts go boom, boom, boom.
Oh no, go ahead.
The Enneagram also teaches you your parenting style, and it
Mm,
also teaches you the personality of your child. And I've done sessions where I bring them together, and then the child feels validated for their thinking differently and gets a voice to speak up, which opens the door to a deeper, richer, more understanding communication.
mm,
Like
wow.
if there's a parenting style, there's a, the child style from teenage style within the same personality for them as they're growing. So the gifts that you give them, imagine learning this when you're a teenager.
Yeah, yeah. So what would you tell someone like me who their teenager is not open to receiving a whole lot, like what advice would you give to even open the door to this? Because I'll be honest with you, having these conversations is not easy these days. It used to be,
Yeah.
but even just, saying, "Hey, would you mind doing this to help me help you?" is not easy either. So what advice would you give to someone like me that's dealing with that?
Um, First of all, validating. I like look for times when they're doing it right.
Mm,
Appreciation is the magic in any relationship there is. What I really love, gee, you helped me out the other day. Thank you so much. That makes a big difference to me. I was having, like, be real with them. We
hmm.
we get these mother personas on where we think we're unable to share that, we're falling apart on the inside, or this is going on with us, and I'm having a really hard day here. Would you mind just doing this? Like, I'm 73, and so
Oh, she told you guys. Ah. So everybody that's watching the video is shocked now, like I was.
so I do have some wisdom, and I went through my sons are in their early 40s. I have grandchildren 18 down to 14.
Mm,
I see the same cycles. You know, Nothing changes. The cycles are there. It's just how we react to them. And being real with your kids and validating them for their differences. So if
mm,
your child is not open at the present time, there's a number of reasons for that. Maybe they're a contemplator, maybe they're an introvert, maybe they feel the energy. Us twos can be intense. If you're a two, I'm not sure. I can help you out with that.
yeah, I was gonna say we'll figure
You're
it out because this is
one
gonna,
of
yeah,
two
we're gonna have an
personalities.
ongoing relationship, you guys.
You're one of two personalities, and I can define that very shortly.
Okay.
But so I can help you to understand. And there's a teenage, I think I have a teenage quiz that you can give to them and say, hey, why don't you take this cool quiz? You can figure out your friends, you can figure out what's going on with them. This will give us a lot of information to make our relationship better and how I can be a better mom to you and
Oh,
what you need.
I love that. You guys, I hope you heard that. If any other moms are in the same situation as me or similar, I hope you heard that because we need
Yeah.
to learn how to communicate effectively
Yeah.
with them.
I had two sons, and one was a four expresser, deeply emotional, sensitive. I connected with him really easily. My other son brought his wife home when they were 14 years old,
Okay.
his future wife at 14. And he's a six questioner personality that has a lot of anxiety and fear and worry. And he
Mm,
started pulling away from me. And that was so painful to me, but a needed process for him. As an
yes.
undeveloped two at that point, I didn't understand that my intensity just created more fear and
And
worry.
that's what happened. Yeah, I think that's what has happened, at least in my case as well, because I can be pretty intense. And that
Yeah,
was the thing that I had to learn too. And again, I tell people this all the time, and I know I'm sure you probably do too. When we're operating blindly, we don't
yeah,
know what we're putting out in the atmosphere, right? So I'm thinking I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do as a parent.
yeah,
But in reality, what I was doing was actually being too intense and pushing her away more.
yeah, yeah. So here's, the five contemplator is an introvert, and they don't, they have very strong boundaries, and they don't need you.
She's very much
My
like that.
One of my daughter-in-laws is a five contemplator personality and introvert. And her mom tells this story that just cracks me up. Like she thought, oh, I'm gonna have a birthday party for her. So she brings these kids in. She has this birthday party. All of a sudden she's looking around and her daughter's nowhere to be seen. Her daughter's
Oh my
upstairs in
gosh.
the room. Her daughter didn't want a birthday party like that. The birthday party was for the mom because the mom thought that's what you needed to do. And the introverted child is like, oh, I'm on overload. I'm just going up and
Right.
shutting the door in my room, right? So these are the things that expand and enrich in your life. Um,
Yeah.
you can tell I'm not very enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. No, I love that. And It's interesting too, because one of the things that I do talk about when I talk to other parents, right? Because we're kind of on similar journeys sometimes, or maybe their kids are younger, so I can help them with that part. But I've had to learn too is she's not the same person she used to be.
No.
So she used to be very outgoing. And
Okay.
now she is more of the kind of introvert. She'll go to her room, kind of be to herself. She's not the huggy type. She's more kind of hands off, which so I didn't know how to do that anymore. So I was used to the, you know, different version of her. And
Mhm.
then she's kind of evolved into this version. But I also have to look at some of the positives with that because one thing that I very much respect, and I've told her this, she has great boundaries. That's something I've struggled with in my life. She's not a people pleaser. She has amazing boundaries. And she really just she's just strong-willed and and so I've had to learn that I also am going to have to let her make mistakes, you
See,
know?
they're not mistakes. I want you to get this
Okay.
point. They aren't mistakes, they're mistakes. And
Okay.
without
I like that.
mistakes, we don't get our life experiences. I
Mm.
worked in the film industry for a lot of years, and I kept watching them do retakes until they got they got
Yes.
it the way they wanted. And that
Yes.
was a big lesson for me to do was to see it in a whole different, every time our perspective shifts and changes, it shifts us into a new realm, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not a mistake. And so I taught my kids, it's not a mistake. Let's look at this. What did you learn from this? How did you grow from this? Great, let's go forward.
Wow.
For a lot of parents, they become fearful of the mistakes their children may have and overparent them,
That
right?
was me.
And so knowing being there to guide them, to watch them, to support them, but allow them these mistakes.
Yeah. It's so difficult though.
Yeah.
That's one thing I'm finding, and I accidentally said one day, I shouldn't have said this, and I know this now, but I said it, and then later on I was like, I could have said that differently, and I told her, but I said sometimes it's very difficult for me to know how to be your mom.
Oh, great. I think that's awesome.
Like
Yes.
it's just I don't know, and also I talked to a lot of people about this too, depending on our upbringing. Like I
Yeah.
didn't have that parental upbringing, that some people have where you kind of learn what to do, what not to do. I only learned what not to do for the most part. And so because of that, and because her upbringing is totally different, which of course is what we want for our children, right? If we come from a toxic upbringing, we want something different. But when you're not able to relate, how would you advise someone who's just like, I don't know how to relate to this. What do I do?
You come to me and we're
I
going
love
to
it.
learn the 9 personalities. So you probably can figure out, um, even if you can't figure out exactly, it's going to be one or two. And all you need to
Mm,
do is recognize patterns.
okay.
What are the patterns of these personalities and how do they want to be responded to? And what do they need for their growth? How can you support them in their growth? Um, the teenagers that I've taught this to, I mean, they've taken it to school and the kids are all learning it and they go, well, my friend, is so dramatic and a drama queen and so emotional. And of course they come to the twos and of course we pat them on the back and that's okay. And people come to the two supporter teenagers for advice, and that's how it all gets set up, right? But
Mm,
you teach them, your daughter has great boundaries. Awesome, because that's something I never and still struggle with.
same.
I'm an open book
Yes.
till, and then it's
Until
like
yes.
boom. And then I go to my stress pattern of 8, and then I'll rock you on your heels, but then
I
I'll go
love it.
back to being nice.
But that comes with time too, right? Like I think one of the things that we forget, especially, kind of my generation and then younger generations too, is, if we're just starting out, we're not going to be quite as advanced as, someone who's been around and doing it a lot longer,
Yeah.
right?
Well, I
So,
will say It's not age, it's your uh, knowing self.
Yes.
So, the teenagers that I've taught this to, boy, they step up, they've got a foundation, and they're not so easily rocked. They go into their relationships as young adults, even career-wise. The careers are different for each personality type that they
Mm,
resonate with, right? And so you can sort of help them go in that direction
hmm.
of knowing their value, of knowing what people value in them. That's the best gift you can give them, is showing them what their value is. And it's
Yeah.
different for each of the nine types.
Wow. That's awesome. And the
Mhm.
fact that we're able to plant those seeds in them so early, because like you said, I say this all the time. I'm like, I don't want them to have to wait until they're in their mid 40s or beyond, right? And it's not about age, but it's, if we can plant these seeds early on, oh my goodness, like we just get to create these generations of people who are just so much more self-aware and not
Oh,
living blindly and able to have impactful, like you said, impactful in relationships. Ugh,
that's what I love about the younger generation. Like they impress me. They are more open to spirituality, to consciousness, to lifestyle, claiming the lifestyle that they want. And the rest of us are going, what? You don't want to work 60 hours a week. You got to work 60 hours a week to get ahead. Bum, bum, bum. But they are changing the world.
yes,
They're changing how the world perceives balance, life balance, and passion, and spirituality, and consciousness. Man, I'm just enthralled with watching them.
I love
And
that.
for the most part, they're so enthusiastic. I don't remember being enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I remember walking around like I got a mountain on my shoulder here that I
Yes,
figure
same.
out, right?
Yes. Well, because we didn't have, I don't know about you, but I know, when I was growing up, I didn't have anybody around me that was doing something different, right? That's what we
Yeah.
got taught. We got taught, we go to school, we get a job, we work however many hours a week, right? And we stay miserable and we don't talk about it and all these things. And so I am seeing how things are evolving as well. And but that's why it's so important for those of us who are learning or who have learned and have all this wisdom to pay it forward.
Yes, yes. And, so this has taken me into learning the law of attraction, learning manifesting. And people say to me all the time, you have such great energy. Well, I chose to create that. People follow
Mm.
me on Facebook and say, you have such a great life. You're so lucky. No, no, no.
Mm.
No, no, it's the choices. So I consciously,
Yes.
even when I woke up this morning, it was, I'm talking to spirit, and this is what I'm wanting to bring into my life more. I would
Hmm.
like more coaching clients. I love coaching. I'm very effective. Something popped into my head about taking my girlfriends away for a spa trip. This is what
Mm.
creates, you need to have the dream. And so
Yes.
many people are afraid to dream because they're afraid of being disappointed.
That. Oh, let's stay on that for a second because that's huge. That is
Yeah.
huge. And I can definitely say I didn't do it for a long time for the same reason. Because also, when we have been disappointed in the past, what happens? We start losing the dream. I always say if you take the, 4 or 5 year old, right? They're dreaming that everything's beautiful. And then what happens is we come in, and I say we as in, society,
Yeah.
we come in and we start taking that slowly but surely, we start ripping those dreams away, right?
We believe we're being realistic. These
Yes.
children are attempting to teach us. There's a country song that I love, and it says, you better chase your dream because your dream isn't
Mm,
to chase you.
I love that. Yes.
And so, that's why I teach manifesting and the statements and the vision boards. I can show you my house that I sold in a market that was, my realtor said, what do you want to sell it for? And I told him the price, and he said, you're never going to get that. It's depressed market. I sold it for 45,000 over what every realtor told me I would
Love
never
it.
get in 3 weeks. I can show you the picture from my vision board to where I'm living now, to the tree out front, adult community,
Wow.
walkout basement, end unit, blah, blah, blah. And then my Mexico manifesting, it was, I play pickleball almost every day. I'm nuts about it. I'm
Okay.
addicted. And and my couple friends were going south for the winter, and I went, well, I'd really like to go somewhere warm, but I'm single and I don't have a lot of money. And then I went,
Mm,
I'm going to put it out there. So this friend of
I
a
love
friend
it.
calls me up and he says, well, I hear you want to go somewhere warm. He said, I've got a condo on the beach in Puerto Morelos, Mexico. I will rent it to you for $100 Canadian per person per week for 2 weeks.
When are we
Ta-da!
taking that trip? I'm on the next one.
I, how's that for manifesting, right?
Wow, I
And
love
so
that.
And so at the same time, another friend said, well, I'm going to Mazatlan. Come and stay with me for 2 weeks. So I went down there and said, I love this community. I said, I'm going to come back and rent here in January. And they said, you'll never get in here. It's always booked. And I looked around and I felt within me and I went, no, I think I'll get something. I got January, February, March booked for the next year and the next year. This is my fourth year. I figured out how to do it. Rent out your house, like expand your thoughts, rent out your
Yes.
thoughts, do this, do this. Have someone come and stay with me. Um, Life can be so much richer and have so much more fun and adventure. But I see so many people stuck and they're stuck, trapped, feel powerless to change their situation.
Yeah.
It just takes awareness. It
Yeah.
truly just to get that positive energy flowing.
Yeah. And that's one of the things, that's why I kind of went more into the psychology. I mean, also my own journey, what I've kind of had to work through, but it started becoming very interesting because when I first started, through the military, I also became a personal trainer, certified personal trainer and a nutritionist. And what I started learning was, people would be very motivated up front, and then, the life things would start happening, and then they would quit. And then I would look at kind of, now when I look back at my journey, I've done that in different areas as well. Not necessarily in those areas, but in other areas. Right. So what you're saying is very powerful because it wasn't until literally just a few years ago, about 5 years ago, where I started doing the manifestation, the Tony Robbins, the vision boards and those things. And it does take, you guys, it does take work, because also we have to remember that creating those things, we also have to do the things to get there, right? So it's like you can't just vision it and then hope it ends up getting there, right? So
See,
it's
that's the
powerful, some
problem.
of the things you said.
Thank you. See, that's why The Secret didn't work.
Mm,
People, yes, I'm going to make $1 million by the end of the year. Yes. Okay, I'm
yes.
just waiting for it to come in. I put it out there. I'm just waiting for it to come in.
Yeah.
We need to work the dream.
Yes.
First of all, we need to be on the vibrational frequency to bring the dream to us. If you
Yes.
want something different than what you're currently at, you need to go and be higher to bring that to you. It's
Yes.
like, we talked about the energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you want a high vibrational, positive life, you need to meet it. You need to create it to bring it in. And then you
Yes.
need to work the dream consciously, consistently to bring that in. I do that almost automatically now.
Mm. So
And
you've
things show up, but
reprogrammed,
things
kind of
come.
shifted.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was just the other day. I was thinking something, boom, there it was. And then I was
Mm.
thinking, oh, I'd like that, boom, there it was. We need to watch
Wow.
for the small miracles. We need to watch for the small miracles that are happening in everybody's life daily,
Yes.
and be grateful for them. Like, when I get up in the morning is, I love my house. Thank you for my house. Thank you for
Yes.
my energy at this age. Thank you for my kids. And is it easy with my kids now in their 40s? No, it's challenging too. They've got busy lives. I'm a two supporter. I want to spend every minute in
Yes.
their busy lives. I needed to have a conversation with my oldest son because they're busy, 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 busy. And I'm here in the summertime and it's not as social here. It's not as easy to be social here as it is down there when you're in a community.
Mm,
And so I called him up and I said, I'm lonely here. And
mm,
he said, Mom, you're always going and doing. How can you be lonely? I said, I'm lonely for you guys. I need to spend more time with you. I'd like to spend more time with you.
yeah.
And he said, Mom, I never realized that. Like you're out dancing all the time, you're playing pickleball. And he said, so Mom, call. And I said, but you don't always answer my text when I send. And
Mm,
he said, okay, I'm going to do better. He said, call me on it if I'm not doing it.
that's awesome.
Because I
Yes.
raised them, I put that in them, right? And
Yeah.
so now he responds to me like it is like night and day. But we need to learn to get comfortable to ask for our own needs. And it's
That's
not
huge.
comfortable. Like it
It's
wasn't,
not.
there might have been tears involved because I'm a two.
Yes.
Not as a guilt, like not the guilt of the,
Right.
but saying, I genuinely miss being with you guys. I need to spend as much time with you before I go south again. And
Mm.
so they work me in as much as they can. We play pickleball on Sunday nights together as a family,
Oh,
which is to me that's Christmas every Sunday.
yes. Oh, I love that.
What my message is for you in this is learn yourself and then learn to speak up. I teach my clients scripting. You have a difficult situation, here's how you say it. So the other
Yes.
person responds.
Yeah, that is huge. I've been a writer since I was a kid. And so one of the things I had to learn when I was going to have a difficult conversation is instead of just having the conversation like I used to and wondering why it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, um, I didn't really consider it scripting, but I guess you could because I would write it out first. I would write it
Yes.
out, I would look at it. And then that allows me, even now, I still do it, even if it's not going to be a difficult conversation or and especially when you're going to speak and things like that, like I'll have certain things that I'll write out and then I'll look at that and be like, okay, how is this going to be received? How can I deliver this better? Those things. And I think that is huge, even in just our intimate relationships, our close relationships, because yeah, a lot of us weren't taught how to communicate effectively. I became a writer because I couldn't communicate out to the
Mhm.
world. I
Mhm.
had to write. That was how I kind of vented, I guess you could say, as a teenager. That's how I got my thoughts out. And
Yes.
I tell people now that's what kept me alive back then, right? It's
Yeah.
because I had that outlet. We always have
Oh,
to have an
journaling
outlet.
is so good. So
Yes.
healthy. Yeah.
Yes. So I love what you said about that because, yeah, when we're going into tough conversations and we are so different, we are dynamic people. We have different backgrounds, different likes, different dislikes. Depending on our upbringing, we have those things, right? The traumas that we've gone through. And so it is very important that we kind of take a look at, okay, what am I bringing to the table? Let me make sure I'm not reacting incorrectly, right? Because we talk about reactions. So I love what you said about that because that is huge to be able to, instead of, because I think sometimes, and I know this was my case where we just kind of react, right? And that usually doesn't go over very well. So I
No, it's
love what you're
generally
saying.
perceived as an attack, right?
Yes.
And so it's important to set the intention, to
Mm,
be open for the other person's different perspective. Watch your tone, watch your energy of delivery, and tell them what you need so they can respond to you.
yes.
Instead of just, you're not doing this and I'm not happy and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
If you're willing, what I need. So in the reason I shared that story was then instead of saying to my son, I'm lonely, you're not responding to me, and you don't always text, and I'm having trouble setting it up with you, blah, 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 and then leave it there, because
Hmm.
then we're both heaped with the crap. And what do you do with it, right? And then I gave them a solution. Would you be willing to, can we play pickleball Sunday nights? Would you be willing to just respond to my text right away? You don't
Hmm.
need to do what I'm asking. Just respond to me
Hmm.
like quicker, right? Then I feel acknowledged and appreciated. So when we give people the option to feel empowered to come back to us, that's what it's about.
Yes. That is amazing. Well, I don't know about everybody else out there, but you have helped me tremendously today.
Oh, thank you. The years.
So I do, like I said, I want to, first off, I want to honor you
Oh,
because I know it takes a lot of work to get to the place that you're in right now. And I'm still on that journey. So I can only imagine because I know the work I have to put in.
enjoy
And
the
I,
journey.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the part. That's the part. I love that you said that because we do have to, like I say, embrace the journey, right? Like we do have to enjoy it. We have to want it. We have to crave it, and that way we keep going when the times get hard. So I want to honor you for that because you've done a lot of work and I can
Thank
see
you.
that in you. You've brightened up my
Thank
day.
you.
And so if anybody's
Oh,
out
thank you.
there only listening to the audio, I do hope you go to the Jody Watkins Inspires YouTube channel and make sure you get the video because you have to see this woman. She's just lit up and just you can just tell you are, and that's the part though, we all have to go through struggles to get to, where you are now. So I can look at you and tell that you have endured some things, but now you're here to speak life into other people. And that is just absolutely amazing. So I want to applaud you for that.
Thank you. I'd like to invite, I offer the free Enneagram test on my website, eileenhead.com.
Hmm.
I also offer a free call. Pop on, let's have a chat and see if I can give you some insights. And,
Yes.
I'm not a hard sell person. I don't do that. I'm here to serve people and to make a difference in people's lives. And as you are as well, I
That's
can
why we get
tell
along. Look at this.
you're an amazing, amazing coach. And
Oh,
you know, um, we are both here to serve, right?
yes. Yes. Definitely. Oh, I love that. Yes. That's what I tell people too, like it's not always about it's not about the money. It has to be what we desire to do in life as well, right? And the money will come later, and that's one of the things that I had to learn as well. But if we're serving and we're doing the things, serving with boundaries, of course, because we have to learn that part. But
Yeah,
as long as we're serving and we're doing what we love, we don't have to worry about the other things. And then we do get to pour into other people, and you get to bring your friends along on your trips. And
yeah.
that's just an amazing thing to be able to do. So definitely want to applaud you and honor you for
Thank
just
you.
all the things that you're doing. I look forward to future conversations with you. I tell people sometimes if we have a great connection, you might not get rid of me.
And that's a good thing, right? Darn
That's a
it.
good thing. Until you want to. You have to tell me you want to get rid of me. But
And it has to be fairly strong, and you have to do this.
yes. Gratefully, I haven't had anybody do that just yet in my life. So hopefully we'll keep going.
I just my gift for people is live your best life. Figure out the
Yes.
fun and adventures and make them happen. Your
Yes.
dream's not going to chase you.
It
You
is
got to
not.
create the dream.
Oh, that is beautiful. What she just said, you guys, just remember the dream is not going to chase you. You have to chase it. You have to do the work. It's great to vision, it's great to have the dream, but we also have to have the things in place to create that life that we desire. And I've finally done that. And it also, I think, and maybe you agree with this, but I think it also keeps us from getting distracted.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So anyway, look, you guys, this has been another amazing episode of the Jody Watkins Show. You guys know how to reach Eileen. Please get in touch with her if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like you just don't know where to go. She does have the Enneagram on her website. And so, let's just keep learning about ourselves and let's keep sharing these stories. I love that you were able to come on today. I definitely appreciate your time. And again, you guys, make sure you go subscribe and go follow, share all the things. The Jody Watkins Show. It's on all podcasting channels and also the Jody Watkins Inspires YouTube channel. So thank you again, Eileen. You have an
Thank you.
amazing day.
Bye.